has to reach her family, Pearl's family, Grant's family, Delma's family. Okay. Pretty soon, I hope we'll try to show you something that I've been doing with Zyna. Okay. Let's see if we can get this to you.
Which one?
Yeah, that's the one. Let's start with. I'm hoping you can see this page. This is the memories page of Grandma Zyna Lisenby Brown. Today I deleted her story, which was on this page. I deleted it. You can do that by going to, well, I won't do it now. And then I went to the Add Memories button here. It gives you the command to upload, then you can go to the next step. I have revised her story. And as a result, I'm not seeing my.
It's in the tab up there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. As a result, because I revised her story a bit, I've deleted her original story and I've now saved it to this page. It doesn't show up immediately. It'll be several hours before before it's posted, but it is sort of now being assessed that I'm not putting in a bunch of swear words or awful things like that, and it'll appear here. I revised her story and I revised Andrew's story because I ran into Dorothy's reminiscences. She had things to say about her mother, and she had things, especially in handwritten form, at the very end of her uh, reminiscences.
Andrew's on here.
She says, I want to say something about my father. She talked about how clean he was, how he helped in the house, how he loved their mother and let his children know that. So I decided that I had to add that to his story. Plus, I had run into his patriarchal blessing, and there are a couple of things said in that patriarchal blessing that I wanted to add to his story. Surprise of surprises, his patriarchal blessing is in longhand, gives the name of the patriarch in Monroe, Sevier County, the name of the patriarch, and the date. He received his patriarchal blessing a few days after he turned 46. So I read his blessing and I come to the end, and it's signed by Zyna Brown. She was the scribe, and her handwriting is exceptionally clear. Even though she didn't have much education, as people might talk about now, it's clear that she worked hard at skills that would put herself and her children, if they would follow her, in good stead. So I was impressed that she was asked by the patriarch to write at dictation her husband's blessing. So that was enough to encourage me to make adjustments in her story mentioning that fact, and in her husband's story mentioning that fact. So, at any rate, we will see this. What you will see is, you'll see this revised story. It was revised April 11th. Yesterday is when I finished it. And that's the one which will appear on this page eventually. Zina Lisenby's memories. There are now 24. The memories will go up to 25. Okay, so I think, do I just do this? All right. Just so you know that about your grandmother or great grandmother, I see there's some other gardeners joining us. So I've only known Janet and Jeannie, and so I've seen them at events and so on. So I'm glad to see all you guys coming. Well, that was my big story to tell about Grandma's Zina Lisenby. Are there any of you have something you'd like to say, something you'd like to talk to somebody else who's on the screen, whom you haven't seen in 40 or 50 years or something? The floor is open. By the way, those of you who got my first note, I suggested that you look in before Easter into a thing that I did with Heather, our daughter who's here. She and I did a story and a review of the accounts of Jesus last week before his death. And Heather is the one who organized that for me, just so you know. Okay, so the floor is open. Danette, did you cough?
Well,
can you hear me, Kent?
Oh, is Danette trying to talk?
No, this is Janice Oldright Vickers.
Yes, this is Julie, who was just talking. Oh, Janice. Yeah, Jan. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to know how far the HHT gene goes amongst those of us that are still alive.
Some of you know that HHT is a bleeding disorder that certain of Zina's children carried away from her. She had gotten it from her mother. I know that, Jan, that you and members of your family have suffered from this thing. I still remember going to your father's door of his house. I'd gone to Oregon as part of a group that were giving lectures up there, and he invited me to come to his home to stay while I was in town. I walked up to the door, rang the doorbell. He opened it, and I've told your sisters this before. He had a handkerchief pressed to his nose that had blood in it already. He was that sensitive. I just have no idea how he made his living as a dentist as long as he did, but but he was bleeding from the nose when I first shook his hand. So
I asked him one time if that was a problem. He said he never had a nosebleed when he had a patient.
oh, is that right?
Yeah, it had to be a miracle
No kidding.
because he bled a lot.
Yes.
I think my
Dorothy
dad
said
was
her
the same thing. He was a dentist and he had the same thing, and I don't recall him ever saying he bled on anybody either, but he bled a lot.
Yeah. Well, I recall that Dorothy, in her life sketch, said that her mother always had a drop or more of blood on her clothes. Zina always showed something that she had been bleeding. Are there others of you who have, what about among the gardeners? No?
This is Marilyn
Yes.
Gardner Mortensen. We have grandchildren even that have this disorder. And so it's quite prevalent in our family. 4 of the 5 Gardner children have it, and we've all passed it on to our children and grandchildren.
So it's still among your grandchildren. Yeah.
Yes, I have grandchildren with it also.
Yeah. Here's another inherited trait. Some of you may remember Aunt Pearl. Many of you won't remember her, but I can still remember her as a child. She would come to our home and I would hear this tremor in her voice. Do any of you recall that? Well, I have the tremor. I'm not one of Pearl's descendants, but somehow that's in the family. I have a voice tremor. It's called spasmodic dysphonia. And I get a shot every 4 months for it. It's a Botox shot. I've complained endlessly to my doctor that I don't seem to be getting any better looking with these Botox shots. But at any rate, Jodelle Diggle had it. She was Delma's oldest daughter, and one of Jodelle's granddaughters also has this tremor in her voice. It's a disconnect through the nerve system between the brain and the voice box, and it's helped a lot by these Botox shots that I get every few months. I've had to slow down my speech so that people can understand me. But I'm sorry, Marilyn, that your family has experienced this. Has this been part of your experience, Jeannie, Janet, Willard? Any of you have experienced this?
I have not experienced that, but I don't know if my siblings have.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I have not experienced it as well.
Okay. Anybody else? Our son Scott, have you ever seen anybody in your family with any bleeding disorder? Scotty, have you seen any of your siblings?
I mean, we definitely get nosebleeds when it's dry here in Arizona, but we do not have HHT.
Yeah, so you occasionally get a nosebleed in the dry air of Arizona, right?
That is right. Yeah. Um, yeah, but no bleeding disorders.
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't come about either when you cut your sleep, when you cut your sleep for study.
I thought maybe you.
So, how many people have you counted? I haven't taken the time.
20.
I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Please, yes.
I'm Susie, and there's 5 of us kids, and 3 of the kids all have the bleeding HHT, and their kids. In fact, my sister Julie, 4 of her 5 kids do. I know that most of the disorder doesn't show up till you're about, 13, 14, I believe they said. So Sandy would have the oldest grandchildren at this point, and I don't know which grandchildren she has. So hopefully she'll speak up and let you know. But I do not have it. In fact, I thought originally that HHT, I could be a carrier because I had a daughter that kept having nosebleeds in high school, but it was just sports. They said, no, I can't pass it if I don't have it. So, but ask Sandy, ask Julie, maybe they'll chime in.
Okay. Well, let's see if Sandy will chime in here. She also lives in that dry air of Arizona, as does Julie. No, no one? Okay.
I'm wondering if they're having trouble. I know Julie's in a car, so she may not be able to push the little microphone.
Right.
And I'm not sure if Sandy was able to get the microphone to work. I wish I could have her text me and tell me how many of her grandkids. Maybe she will. Yeah, she's saying I don't know how to get on. So I'll have her text me how many grandkids that she has that have HHT, and then I can tell you if she'll text me back.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Willard. This makes me curious because to hear that other families are producing more than 50% on average of their children would be interesting to me because it's a 50-50 genetic disorder. But our family runs 85 to 90% of us, which is unusual, and we've heard that from the staff at the Huntsman Center. That
Yes.
it's a little unusual to be that high, but then what I'm hearing here is there's a possibility that this is more than just the Barbara, that's my mother, Barbara Gardner line, and maybe more than the Boyd Brown line.
Yes.
Maybe it comes this high percentage comes earlier in the family. Maybe Zina. I don't know. That's interesting.
You mean Zina, the daughter or the sister of Boyd, or Zina, the mother of Boyd?
Well, I don't know. I would think the mother of Boyd, because in our family, it has been unusual to not have HHT
Yeah.
amongst Boyd's children and amongst my mother's children, and then amongst my sister's families and myself. It's unusual to not have HHT. In fact, in my kids and grandkids are 100% with HHT, and my sister's families are close to that, up in that 85, 90%.
Yeah, that's
And
really
that's
high.
that defeats there's some mathematics there that doesn't line out. And I don't know where that comes from. And I'd always assumed that it came from my mother, but it sounds like maybe it came earlier than that.
So Dad, just text conversation.
Mhm.
Janice replied she has 2 grandkids and 2 kids. And then Jeannie replied all of her children have.
Yeah, Jeannie says, is that right, Jeannie? All of your children have the problem?
So she can
Yeah.
reply.
So Kent, this is Susie. So we are Reed's children, Dorothy's son Reed. I
Yes.
don't know if his 2 sisters had it, but Dad had it badly. And all of my siblings have it, so all 5 of us have it. But like Mary Kay, neither of her boys have it. So she did the 50-50 the other direction. She had 0%. I did hit the 50-50. I have 4 kids and 2 of mine have it. So
Oh, Susie.
a little random.
Yeah. Hmm. Who else had it? Shoshana just saw somebody who had written in.
Janice.
Yeah.
Janice?
Yeah, she has 2 grandkids and 2 kids.
Yeah, Janice has 2 children and 2 grandchildren.
Yeah, and then she said that U of U has an HHT clinic.
Yes. This is okay. There is at the University of Utah, and I think Willard mentioned this, at the University of Utah, there is, I think there are people who are interested in this sort of thing. I don't know whether they're thinking of a cure, but at least for the time being, they're interested in talking to people who have the problem.
There is some bright light at the end of this tunnel. There are some things coming out that are really, really helping this disease in the form of drugs. Some are cancer drugs that influence the formation of the malformations that form that bleed. And one of them most recently released is a specific drug dedicated to HHT.
Yes.
And is very hopeful.
Well, it sounds like those guys are doing their homework at the University of Utah. Thanks for that.
Janice says there's an infusion as well for Avastin.
Who said that?
Janice says there's an infusion.
Oh, Janice says there's an infusion, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Avastin.
Can you hear me, Kent?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, they have. They started me on that at the U of U because I have telangiectasias in my kidneys or my liver, excuse me. And so it causes me to have high ammonia. And so I have to take a medication for that. That's kind of an extreme. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but this Avastin is an infusion. They do it 6 of them every 2 weeks, and that totally takes your nosebleeds away. Well, it has me. And then they have to kind of see when they start to come back, and then they'll give you a booster. But it could be like once a month, once every 3 months. You know, they don't know because each person is different. But I would suggest if you live in that Utah area that you go see that HHT clinic. I actually come from Oregon a couple times a year just to meet with them. So it would be worth your while. And anybody who has a question, he knows my dad went to him and my brother Ron has gone to him. So Reed went to him. And they know what gene type we are. So you could tell him what gene type you are because it's all coming from Zina Lisenby. So he would know what gene you have, because there are two different kinds of HHT. One is more serious. That forms more in the brain and the lungs. And luckily, we have the lesser of two evils, and ours tends to be in the stomach and the gut area. So they like to do scans of everything and kind of see where your telangiectasias are. So if you have good insurance and would like to find any of those things out, if you really suffer a lot from it, you might want to look into that.
Sure.
I would be
Thank-
happy to get the names of the drugs that I've used to you, Kent, and then you can disperse it to this group.
Thank
Avastin
you.
is one of them,
Sure.
and it did not work well for me. Um, and I have a couple other names that are not on the tip of my tongue of drugs that they're also using, and like I say, it's very hopeful what's being done with HHT. The other thing I want to mention is that U of U is a great place where they're doing a great deal of research, but there are HHT centers of excellence coming up in a lot of cities in the world. And in our area, Seattle is just forming a center of excellence for HHT, and they communicate with U of U and Johns Hopkins and some of those other places where there's a lot of HHT research going on. And so you may check with some of the larger cities are having some of these centers for excellence popping up where people are starting to become aware of HHT and they're focusing on the care of HHT patients as well as the research. And that's encouraging as well. I'll just throw that out there.
Sure. Um, that is that Seattle University?
It's the University of Washington,
Okay.
and they're just getting their, I don't know if it's a certification or what, as a center of excellence for HHT. But I know there are others in California. I don't know all the cities that they're in, but there are some in the Midwest. There's one in Minneapolis, and they communicate with the University of Utah. And the University of Utah is a major player, and so is Johns Hopkins. Um, but they all communicate, and as these centers pop up, more and more people are being able to be cared for in their local areas, as opposed to going all the way to Utah, which is our family used to go to Utah, which was quite a jaunt for us, for some of
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
But like I say, and I won't say this anymore, but it's so very hopeful right now. It's a real turning point for the disease right now. And I
Sure.
hope that we can all take advantage of some of these new treatments, because those of us who are aging are finding out that it's tough, and it's great to have some hope for our children and our grandchildren.
Very
Willard,
much. Thank you.
can I ask Willard a question?
You bet.
Please, Jan.
Yes, would you please email, maybe send it to Kent since he has all our emails, the names of those drugs?
Absolutely. And I think Avastin has worked well for one of my sisters. And I don't know what accounts for how well these drugs work
Right.
for individuals, but there are options, and that's nice. And so yes, I will be happy to put that together and send it to Kent and get that out there. And I'll do that right away. It's a great idea.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hey,
Thank
Kent,
you. Yeah.
can I get back to a family history question?
Sure. Try it out.
Um, I was wondering, so if Zina was the one that transcribed her husband's
You broke it in?
patriarchal blessing? Was that common for a wife to do that, or do you think that was a calling she had?
You mean to take dictation?
Yeah, to transcribe it and take the dictation down.
That's a good question. She served by several accounts as the secretary of the Relief Society for at least 18 years. I don't know whether that would include working with the patriarch, but presumably the patriarch was aware of her service and felt completely confident in asking her to be the scribe for Andrew's blessing. So, one account says she was secretary for 18 years. Another account says it was 25. So,
I won't complain ever again about a long calling.
well, yeah. Well, you've been all very nice to join us.
Well, Sandy just popped in. I don't know if she can talk or not, but I do want to say that my little brother Tommy, and we're under Zina Alvarda's family.
Yes.
Tommy has it, and Sandy has the HHT extremely bad. Tommy's in and out of the hospital quite often. Julie and Sandy have often had to have some blood help, and Tommy some blood help. My brother is going to be having some open heart surgery, and Sandy, I can hear you now. You're talking to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Sandy, please chime in. I'll let you take over. You know more about it than I do.
Well, hang on just a second. I'll come in just a minute.
Anyway, so he's having open heart surgery, and they're very concerned about the HHT and him having a problem during this surgery. So, but Sandy's got 2 of her kids, and Julie's got 4 of her 5, and Tommy has all 4 of his girls. They all have it. So it's kind of a large percentage. It seems to be getting worse as time goes on, I think. But I would love, I know my sisters would love to have all those medications also. So
yeah, Julie's got 4 of her kids that have it. I've only got 1 of my kids that have it. And Tommy's had 2 brain surgeries because of it. One an aneurysm and one it didn't burst, but they found the AVM in his brain and took that out. And then the other one was an abscess caused by his lung AVM. So yeah, he's really suffered the last few years with it.
I'm sorry to hear that. So, it sounds like it's reached out to quite a few of us and our siblings and nieces, nephews, and grandchildren.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Sandy. And yes, when I get something from any of you, Willard promised something. When I get something from any of you, I will forward it out to everyone, hoping that it'll help someone. So,
when my sister Julie and I went to a Utah, I think it was in Provo reunion, that's when we talked to some of our cousins that introduced us to the University of Utah. And I came home and was telling my son that I have other relatives, and he just says, "Mom, you have found your people." Yes. So it is kind of nice to compare notes.
Yeah, that was a good effort. I thought that reunion, 2014, was it?
It changed a lot of things for my sister Julie and I when we went to the center in Utah, in Salt Lake. It was, they opened some doors for us just visiting with our relatives up there.
Yeah, terrific. Is there anything else we need to take up? I hadn't anticipated that this would become a share and help session with medical challenges, especially HHT. But I appreciate your willingness to share and to help out. So back to the initial question I asked, who's the furthest away? Is it Seattle or someplace like that? Anybody in the
Portland's about the same as Seattle, I think.
Yeah, Portland is.
And Julie's daughter is in Texas, Houston. I don't know how much farther that is.
Yeah, that's pretty far, especially if you're
And
driving
yeah,
all
and
night
she
for a
suffers
keynote
with it
night.
bad.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong name. It wasn't Woodhead, it's Whitehead.
Yes, Dr. Whitehead is who
Yeah.
Julie and I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Jan.
You bet.
And
Yeah.
can I find out how to get onto your email list?
Yes. Just send me an email saying put me on.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it skb at byu.edu?
Yeah. My email is skb, my initials, Scott Kent Brown, skb at byu.edu.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you need to contact me. So
I've listed those drugs in the chat,
thank you.
ones I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter too, Shoshana, has found them. So thank you, Willard. Anything else? Well, I invite you to sometime go to the Family Search Memories page for Zina and read her story if you haven't. The revised story that I just put up, but it hasn't
They said it's available.
been posted. It is available?
Yeah.
Oh, let's look.
We have to do this first.
But window there. Share.
My sister just texted me.
Oh, there it is. Your sister just texted you?
Yeah. She wondered if I wanted to tell the group about liver transplants. I have had a liver transplant due to AVMs in my liver affecting my heart, the output of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it. It's been 6 years now, and I'm doing so much better. But that can be something that can be done if you've got liver AVMs.
Yes, I do have liver AVMs, but I just restarted the Avastin because I only got a couple infusions in, and then I had an injury, and so it retards healing, and so I had to go without. So I've just started it back, and I'm going to see Dr. Whitehead again in July, and he will check that right heart, the blood output, and do a liver scan again to see if the Avastin could help the liver. So is that the next step after that? Maybe some of these drugs that Willard listed would work for that too.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all of this. Is there anything else I need? Okay. Danette, were you going to say something? Or was it just a cough? Okay.
Actually, it was just a bum dial. I wasn't going to say anything. I don't have it. My sisters are the ones who have stuff to say.
Okay. Are we basically finished then? We've been on here for 50 minutes. I made sure that I bought the time so we didn't have to hit 40 minutes and then quit. So if we do this again, I'll buy the time as well. Okay. Well, it's been very nice to join us. Thank you for making the time. And thank you for the contributions. I'm grateful for you. Every day I pray for cousins and that there'll be no empty chairs. So at the end.
Kent, thank you for all you do for
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and I can see the hearts going up, Sandy. Thanks. Okay.
Well, I would send a heart, but I don't know how to.
Okay.
So heart, heart, heart.
That's right. Well, if you have a grandchild in the house,
No, I don't.
it'll appear soon.
No, I don't even have a child in the house. So
Yeah. Okay. Lots of
just us
hearts
old
around
people.
here. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to bring this little thing to an end. Thanks again.
Thank
Yes,
you.
can we help
Bye.
contribute to what he had to pay?
Oh, it was about $10. And even though I'm not employed, I still have money to spend. So this, and
We can each send you 50 cents.
some of my heirs are on this with me, so they know I'm spending their inheritance. So, okay,
Yes, I'm doing that too, but I'm taking 33 of us on a cruise. So
terrific. That sounds like a wonderful idea.
I'm spending more of my inheritance than you are.
Okay, sure. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kent.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.